Hi everyone. So I'm Hugo. I've been a software engineer for the past 8 years. I mostly done JavaScript development, and I joined Hero about a year and a half ago. I've been working on Clarinet since then, so this is what we will talk about today. And yeah, also I'm from France, Paris, as you may notice while I talk. So yeah, let's get started. So I have a few slides, and if we had some time at the end, we will do a quick demo as well. So this is what we will be going through today. So what is Clarinet? So Clarinet is a suite of tools that we use to develop smart contracts locally with Clarity, so for the Stacks blockchain. So we use it to develop contracts, debug contracts, as well as deploying contracts on the blockchain. So these tools are mostly all of these tools are here. So the CLI will be the entry point of Clarinet. It's basically what you install when you install Clarinet, and it will allow you to create projects, create contracts, check that the contracts are valid. You will also use the CLI to deploy contracts and stuff like that. Then we have the REPL. So the REPL is super useful to execute some arbitrary Clarity code. It can be used in the terminal, or it can also be used in a web browser. Also, I think we need to update this website. Then there is the VS Code extension. So the VS Code extension is it brings you what you expect from any modern language to work in a code editor. So we mostly use VS Code, and we recommend to use VS Code, but actually you can use pretty much any code editor, because there is a standard called Language Server Protocol, LSP, that is used to communicate between a language server, so what Clarinet does, and the code editor, which we like to use VS Code a lot. We talk a bit about the Clarinet SDK as well, the GS SDK. So this is new. The V1 was released a week ago, or 10 days ago. And this is used to communicate with the SIMnet, so a simulated network that will simulate Stacks blockchain, but in a very lightweight version. And then there is a DevNet.js, which will allows us to do integration testing on the blockchain. We might not talk a lot about that today. A very important part of Clarinet is that it's based on the canonical Clarity VM. So what it means is that we use the same code in Clarinet as a code that is used on the Stacks blockchain node. So it's really the same source code, which is imported into Clarinet from the Stacks blockchain. And we call it the Clarity VM. This is very important for us because it means that whatever you do locally, you can expect it to work the exact same way once you deploy on the blockchain. And this is true since Clarinet V1, which I released about a year ago. Also, we will release Clarinet V2 about next week, I believe. So let's dive deeper. So who here, with a show on hands, have used Clarinet before? Okay, so not a lot. So who will be participating to the hackathon tomorrow? Okay, so this is a short version of a workshop I will be leading tomorrow at the hackathon. So we will dive deeper into that tomorrow. But yeah, basically, you can install Clarinet as you would install any package. So if you are using macOS, you can use it. You can install it with Homebrew. And if you are using something else, just have a look at our docs. That will show you how to install Clarinet for all systems. Once you have Clarinet installed, so you basically have the CLI, and the CLI will allow you to create a new a new project and create new contracts as well. It's basically the starting point of creating your first smart contract on Clarinet, and not only your first, like all of your smart contracts for Clarity. Once you have done that, you will get a project structure looking about like that. So you have your Clarity contract, so the first file here in contract. Then you have a few settings. So the settings will define how your DevNet behaves. So the DevNet is basically a local environment running a Bitcoin node, a Stacks node, and a few other helpful tools. And it will allow you to have basically all Stacks environment running locally. So it's super useful to test and integrate with your smart contract. Then the mainnet and testnet settings are like private files that will be helpful to deploy your contract on the mainnet or on the testnet. We will talk a bit more about the testing file later. And then you have a few more configuration files. The last three ones are kind of new, and they will allow you to test smart contracts with Node.js, and especially with vtest in this case. But you could use any other framework if you wanted to. And yeah, so if you want to write Clarity code, we really recommend you to use VS Code, or it doesn't have to be VS Code, but we like to use it. And we have this cool Clarity extension that you can install from the marketplace, and will work out of the box and will give you all of the tools you need to find the errors in your contract, to find, like you will find all of the documentation, if you will have auto-completion, like a lot of very useful tools you need when you write a smart contract. So this is what you see when you open a smart contract within VS Code. If you have some time at the end, we might go through like a bit more details about this smart contract. It's a very simple one, just with two functions, one allowing to vote on some random stuff, and the other functions just allow us to get the result of this vote. It's just a demo contract, nothing fancy here. So yeah, this is a project structure, and we will actually open it in VS Code right after the slide. Yeah, so once you have this smart contract, you will want eventually to run this smart contract locally on your machine. And you will want to do that before you actually deploy the contract on testnet or mainnet. So for that, we have three tools, which are very useful depending on the context and the use case. So we have the Clarinet console. Basically, I have some details like yeah. So the Clarinet console will allow you to load the contract in the wrapper and interact with it very easily. Like here, I am just writing some Clarity code. So I'm doing a contract call on my vote contract to get the result. So at this point, my contract was just deployed. So the scores are 0 and 0. But that I can call it again and vote for my choice, and the result will be incremented. So the Clarinet console is very useful to quickly test a Clarity contract and run some arbitrary code. Once your contract is maybe a bit more mature and ready to be integrated on, like if you want to build a website on top of this contract, or like a D app, you will want this contract to be running in a more complete environment. So you will use Clarinet integrate, so it will open this terminal interface. It runs on Docker, so you will have a Bitcoin node, a Stacks node, you will have the Stacks API running as well, and Bitcoin and Stacks Explorers running. So it's basically your own private local blockchain running, and it will behave the same way as a testnet or a mainnet. It's just local and private. So once you have that, you can start writing your React or whatever framework you use, but you can start writing your front-end code or even server code that will interact with the Stacks API or directly with the node. So this is super useful once you are ready to work with your contract, but not yet ready to deploy it on testnet or mainnet. And then we have unit testing. So unit testing changed a couple of weeks ago. It's designed to work with the Clarinet SDK and with Stack.js. And here I'm using vtest. It's the framework we recommend, the one we integrate with better, the best, but it's not mandatory. So a very important part of that is that this file it's just, well, in this case it's TypeScript code, but it could be JavaScript. And we just install an npm dependency, which is the Clarinet SDK. And the Clarinet SDK is actually a version of Clarinet that is exported to WebAssembly. So Clarinet is written in Rust, just like the blockchain, which allows us to basically use the Clarity VM inside our project. But thanks to WebAssembly, we're able to compile Clarinet in a way so that it will run in Node.js. So we are using it for the VS Code extension and for the Clarinet SDK. So basically, here we are running some JavaScript or TypeScript code, but it's using still the same Clarity VM as the one used on the Stack blockchain. So really, this is super useful for us, and for any Clarity developer, it always means that your code will behave the same way, whether you are running on mainnet or locally, if you are doing unit test or using the webper. And we might have sometimes to talk a bit more about this unit test after. Also, I wanted to talk a bit about the Hero platform. So the Hero platform is embedded, like it's multiple things. It's a way for you to interact with contracts and deploy contracts directly from the web browser. You can also edit your code right from the web browser. You will have a VS Code interface in your web browser with Clarinet installed, and everything you might expect to have to write and deploy smart contracts. Since last week, I believe, you can also SSH into the platform pod. So you can basically do everything you want to do in the web browser or with your local environment without having to install everything. So it's a bit of whether you want to run everything locally or if you want to have something that comes with all of the tools you need right from the web browser. And we have some time to do a quick demo, so I will open this Clarity project I was showing you earlier. So this is some Clarity code. I hope you can see it correctly. Yeah, it seems okay. So this is some Clarity smart contracts. It's a very simple one. It's just for this demo purpose. So we are defining some constants, some data variables, and a couple of functions. So this one is a read-only, which means that you can't write data on the blockchain with a read-only function. And this one is a public function. So you can actually write data, and this one will have to be mined to be executed. So because I'm using the VS Code extension, I basically have documentation for all of the native functions I'm using, or even the keyword. So here there is a block height. I can see what it does. There will be, there is auto-completion if I want to, I'm not going to edit this contract, but yeah, just to show you, it just, like if you are used to writing Rust or JavaScript, you can expect the same level or almost the same level of tooling on Clarity. So next I wanted to show you quickly the testing framework. So we basically have a couple of tests that will test the get result function, and another few tests to test the VOST function. So here we have access to an object that we call the SimNet. So the SimNet is basically this very light environment that allows you to interact with a simulated Stacks blockchain. And it's very lightweight, so it can run pretty fast. Also, it's not like blazing fast, but we would like to make it faster in the near future. And because this is just basically JavaScript and we are using vtest, we can use all of the tooling that there is into the vtest environment ecosystem. So I have the vtest extension, so I can run the test right from here normally. Yeah. So here the tests are running. I can see the result. And if for some reason I change something in my contract, so like the block height at which the vote will end, I can run the test again, and I will see the errors right here in my editor. So I can basically change it here, save it, run the test again, and we should be good. Yeah. So this is, again, all based on Clarinet tooling. This is a new Clarinet SDK. And we hope that it will help to write more reliable and consistent smart contracts in a standard and familiar way, because it's, again, just JavaScript. Yeah, that's it. It was a very quick demo, but if you are here at the hackathon tomorrow, we will do it in a way longer version. Yeah, so that's it for today. Thank you, and I think we might have a couple of minutes for some questions if you want. Yeah.
Regarding testing tool, the SimNet, can you actually clean the state, or like how it tracks the state of like what you did in the test?
How do we keep the state?
No, I mean like you showed on the short demos that like there is one state test that like the initial state where like everything is empty and like you feel the votes, etc. Like how we can do that? Like the test will be independent. So like if I run something, then like will SimNet be cleaned after the test execution?
Yeah, okay.
Or it keeps the state.
Every time you can customize this behavior, but by default, before each test, so before each hit in this case, the state is reinitialized. So if I want, so basically here I'm running only this one. It's starting from fresh, and I have a whole new state. If I wanted to have state that is shared between all of these tests, I would use a before each helper and run some code before each test and test multiple stuff on this state.
But like if I run two tests and one of them is to like clean up, is it possible?
You shouldn't have to do the cleanup part because it's reset before each test. Okay. Yeah. We can talk a bit more about that after if you want. All right. Thank you.